If I say Immaculate Constellation, I'll be on some list.
Now that we have all been cautioned in this committee hearing that the mention of Pentagon's Immaculate Constellation program could put us on a list, well, may as well just go all out and say it. The Earth is flat, birds are government drones, and we've never set on foot on the moon. And
maybe a FISA warrant, so come at me, bro, I guess.
I think that what the American people need to know is that the U.S. military and intelligence community are sitting on a huge amount of visual and other information, still photos, video photos, other sensor information, and they have for a very long time. And it's not those fuzzy photos and videos that we've been given. There's very clear
high
resolution.
How many visuals, graphics, videos, photos?
I mean, I've been told hundreds, maybe thousands.
Well, when I'm not down in Congress making friends with people, kicking it on the streets, dipping back and forth, meet and greeting, hanging out with my boy Scott from that Mysterious Planet. Give him a shout, Scott.
What's going on, guys? Scott from Mysterious Planet.
We're making EnigmaCast videos. So everybody, as you all know, we had a very, very busy week. We were in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. My buddy Scott hit me up about a week before saying, hey, man, let's hit it. And I'm like, all right. Scott did the smart thing and took the train. I didn't have the option. So I got stuck in traffic. Scott got in there. Yeah, man. But I tell you what, it was a great time. And what we're going to do is, everybody, thanks for tuning into EnigmaCast, man. We're going to give you a wrap up. Scott and I are going to go down. We're going to talk about each speaker. We're going to talk about how our experiences about it, talk about what we look forward to in the future. And we're going to talk about the general vibe. And I'm telling you, man, Scott, you would agree. It was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, man. It was an amazing experience to have. And one thing I will say is that going there and doing this, it made me realize the difference between passive activism and active activism.
Oh yeah, that's well said, bro. That's a good point, man.
It's one thing to go from, I used to sign like petitions and stuff for like whistleblower protections and things like that. It's one thing to go around and like sign petitions and participate via the internet. It's another thing to go in person and be there and make your voice heard just by even being there. You're making your voice heard. They see the crowds of people that are showing up to these things. So I think being a part of it really changed my perspective on everything related to this. So there is definitely a difference between passive and active activism.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. That's well said, Scott, man, because that place was packed. And it was packed, man. And so so you go to either one of our Instagram channels. You can see Scott and I both took videos while we were in the hallway. The hallway was literally all the way to the elevator. There was a line, and it made like a left turn, and then to go into it. And it was standing room only in there. And if I had to take like a rough guess, there was at least 200 people in that hallway. Wouldn't you think, Scott? And we're all up against the wall. Yeah, easily. Yeah, easily, right? So anyways, everybody, we're going to dig into that. So, and we're going to break it down for you. So it actually worked out. So November 13th, Scott and I were in there. All of Scott's contact information will be in the description. We'll plug it at the end, Scott. This is Scott's third appearance on my show.
Yep.
Yes, sir. I'm excited. Scott was my very first guest, and this is our 50th episode, and Scott is on here now. So this is amazing, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we were down there November 13th. This is all Scott's idea. It was amazing. I'm glad he brought it up. We were down there. I got caught up in the presidential motorcade, and it literally slowed me down for like 40 minutes, right? And like I felt that 40 minutes like that, but it actually worked out. I think it actually worked out good though. Scott got in line pretty good. I came in there later, got in there. I got in the back of the line. So yeah, so true story here. They were letting them in. Would you say like 20 at a time, Scott? Like they would let 20 in, and then they would let everybody get settled. They let 20 more people in. They were like kind of like making sure that wasn't just gushing everybody in there, right?
Yeah, they were letting people in slowly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My man right here was the last dude in when they shut the door.
Dude,
Tell them that story.
it was crazy. It was so crazy. I mean, I had gotten there. I checked. I was actually outside the building waiting at 5:50-ish, actually, or 6 a.m. I was waiting to get in. Then, like, we're waiting outside. The building opens at 7. We go in. We have to wait in line. And from like 7 to 11:30, so we're in line for hours. Dude.
Yeah.
I was in line with Darcy Ware. He's a filmmaker of like UFO documentaries. There's a guy, Jason, part of the UAP Studies podcast. I was with the whole time in these lines. And then when we get to the end and we're about to let people in, they're like, all right, we got 3 spots left. And there was another guy they pointed to, and they pointed to Darcy, and they pointed to me. And like, you guys got the last 3 spots. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like,
no doubt,
I'm
man.
actually getting, I didn't think I was going to get in the room. I already resigned to the fact that I was going to go to the overflow room, and I wasn't getting in the room. Like, I already had accepted that in my head mentally. So getting in the room just kind of blew my mind. I was not expecting that. So that was an awesome surprise.
Yo, it was huge too. So I could see you from where I was at, man. I saw you like cut that left. I'm like, all right, cool. And then kind of stopped, right? But I didn't know what was going on, right? Like, cause I was like still decently back. In fact, do you remember where you were standing when I caught up to you? When I first, that's where I ended when you went around the corner. That's the distance, right? Like I was right there, right? And they were like, and when they closed the door, a lady came around the corner and she said, "It's over. But we're setting up. There's no more room in there. It's closed. We have we have a ready. It's called a ready room. We have a ready room upstairs with a TV. If you want to get out and go watch it up there, we will." Like a large amount of people, man, got out, right, and they just went, right, because if you were like nowhere near that turn, you had no shot of getting in there, right? No shot of getting there, right? And so they left, right? And so when they did, I was like, this guy was like, "Are you going to go?" And I'm like, "No, I think I'm going to hang out right here." And I said, because I could hear them, right? I could hear you guys. I could hear what was going on in there. I said, "No, I'm going to stay right here and get some hallway action," right? And so it actually worked out, man. God is great, man. It worked out because the people left. And there was only like about, no lie, man, like 9 of us stayed out there. So we were all right on the elbow of that corner, right? And they gave us chairs. So we sat down on the inside of the rope so we could hear you guys inside. And we just turned on our phones. And when the congressman got done, they came out the door and they walked right past us, man. So we got to stop. So like, I felt that we attacked it on both ends, man. Like you were on the inside and I was on the outside, man. So yeah, it was pretty cool, bro. That was great, man. Bro, we're going again. I'll tell you that. If that ever happens again, man, we're going to go again.
100%. I'm in.
Except I'm going to do something. So I actually made friends or had a very good conversation with Tim Burchett, and he gave me his card and he gave me his direct office number, not the call directly to his desk, but his people in the front, right? Scott, I'm going to call him and say, "Hey, look, man, me and my buddy, we have YouTube channels, Instagram channels. Is there any chance you can get us in? You know what I'm saying? Can you get us inside like with you?" It doesn't hurt to ask because he told me if I ever need anything.
Worth the shot, dude.
Worth the shot. So anyways, that's how it broke down. That's where we're at. So now we're going to get into the meat of it, right? So Enigmites, if you didn't know this, there were 4 guest speakers in there, right? Or I guess they weren't guest speakers. They were testifying. It was probably a better word to say it, right? Scott and I are going to break them down, and where I get involved in everything. UFOs, UAPs, aliens, cryptids, conspiracies, all that stuff. But my man Scott here, if I have questions about UAPs, UFOs, or disclosure, this is the guy I go to, man, because he literally he lives and breathes this, man. So we got and he was in the room at Enigmites. He was in the room, right? Like he was there, right? Scott, I can't bring him any more closer than that. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a boots on the ground, right? So like this guy was in the room, right? So you ready for Scott? Let's break it down, buddy. First guy.
Sure, man. Yes.
Yeah.
There were 4 witnesses. We had Tim Gallaudet, former Rear Admiral for the Navy. We have Lou Elizondo. I think pretty much everybody knows who Lou Elizondo is.
For sure.
Former director of ATIP. Worked on the government's basically their UFO UAP program, and then we had Michael Shellenberger, who was a journalist. He was a journalist who broke the Immaculate Constellation story just weeks before.
Weeks
Before the hearing. And then we had Mike Gold, who is a former, NASA, and he also worked for Bigelow Aerospace. So they had Bigelow, who owned Skinwalker Ranch at one point. So
Scott's vacation property.
Yeah, right. Those are 4 witnesses. We could go through them and talk about what we thought about each one, and yeah.
So let's dig into it, man. So we'll start with Tim Gallaudet. So Tim Gallaudet, retired U.S. Navy Real Admiral.
Yeah, Tim Gallaudet.
So Scott, break down what So basically, from the outside, he pretty much was talking about the U.S. Navy context they had, and the USO, the unidentified submersible objects, which makes perfect sense that if a UAP could travel in,
right.
If it can travel basically without being affected by gravity, then being in the water is probably the same for it as being in the air, right? So it makes perfect sense, right?
Right. So I mean, the craft seem to all be transmedium.
Yeah.
Being able to go from air to water and water to air seamlessly.
So, right? Yeah, effortlessly, right? Yeah, that's amazing. And I got to tell you, man, before we get into it, for some reason, man, that ability that these crafts have, that fascinates me more than the possibility of interstellar travel, man. Like I just can't I can't wrap my mind around the technology that would be involved to be doing, Mach 2 and then hit the water at the same speed. They don't slow down, right? And just they go right in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Without a splash.
Without a splash.
Seamlessly.
Yeah. That's to me, man. I don't know, man. That's the thing that that's just wild, man. So anyways.
It's all manipulation of space-time, gravity manipulation.
Something. Right? Definitely. Yeah, it's something, man. But anyways, it's fascinating. So when I don't know how the Insight felt when they called Tim's name, but he got massive hate in the hallway. I think one of the congressmen referred to him either as jokingly or, maybe not jokingly, because they were pretty upfront, I thought, as being a deep state, right? And the guys in the hallway, because we didn't have to be quiet because we weren't in that room, you know what I mean? They were like, oh yeah, warmonger. He just wants money for black budget stuff. And I'm sitting around, man, and I've never heard Tim Gallaudet speak, but I was like, yeah, for sure. I'm surrounded by these guys, right? So I'm just like, oh yeah, right. I never knew that he was referred to that. Did you know that? No,
I did. I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either. So, but do you recall them saying that during his when they were talking? They asked him a question. Do you remember that coming up?
I don't remember them specifically saying that, but yeah, that's not something I'm familiar with for him. But the big thing that he did talk about, though, while he was giving his statement, was that he was out on the East Coast in the sea, aboard a ship, and they get an email. He got an email from the operations officer. The email is titled, all caps, urgent, safety of flight issue. So he opens up the email, he pops it open, and the email is basically from this operations officer saying, hey, we're trying to run these exercises, they have their jets up there, and they keep having all these close calls, mid-air collisions with these unknown objects.
Yeah.
And, does anybody know what these objects are? So, although, if we don't, he was if you guys don't know what these things are, we're just going to have to call off this exercise because putting the pilots at risk. And Tim said the very next day, that email was wiped from his computer, as well as everybody's computer.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? In the email, attached to the email was a video, and that video was the Go Fast video.
Yeah.
Now Fast video.
Yeah.
But the next day, the email was wiped from his computer, was wiped from everyone's computer, and nobody ever mentioned it and talked about it ever again.
Yeah. And then he also went on to talk about the USS Omaha incident. Was that?
Yeah.
And then he was talking.
That's another transmedium object.
Yes.
Going from air, plopping into the ocean.
Yeah. And then he talked. There was also the U.S. submarines have been paced and shadowed by and a lot of people think that these subs can't go fast. They actually can go pretty fast. They just can't stop quickly. I mean, you got to understand that, right, man? So like, they just can't stop quickly, right? And he says these objects were, boop, 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 they were go-karting under there, man, basically having no problem, right? So Scott, man, I mean, I'll tell you, I'll go first with him. I didn't see what people had a problem with him about, man. I didn't like, I felt, I mean, like he wasn't, I don't think he said anything bombastic. Like he wasn't in there like, we gotta, he wasn't pounding his desk. He was very monotone, but I thought he gave good information, man. I thought, he said, like you said, he was telling they took the emails away. It was gone. It was there. This happened. Right. And at a minimum, we talk on this channel too. Argue all day what it is, man, but you have to admit something happened. And if you just don't have the ability to say, no, it's completely false, then I'm not the channel for you. And Scott's definitely not, he's not the channel for you either, man. So, something happened. So Scott, man, I would say Tim Gallaudet, for me, his testimony, I would say it was all right. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say his testimony was fine.
Yeah.
I think one thing too that people were maybe disappointed in was I think a lot of people wanted to hear from somebody like a direct witness to something. Right. You know what I mean? And he didn't have that necessarily to talk about. Right. But I think there's still value in what he did talk about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's a lot of this stuff, and this is one thing that I think bothers me, is that a lot of people complain about, the UAP hearing, oh, nothing new came of it. Same with the first one. People say, oh, nothing new really came of it. Yeah. But you know what? The people who are saying that are people who are UFO enthusiasts, right? And UFO enthusiasts, we've heard it all before. You know what? A lot of this stuff is not new information to us. We look up this stuff all the time. We read into it. This is not new information to us, but it is new to the general public.
No, that's a great point.
And that's who these hearings are actually for. That's what actually gets the needle to move, is getting the general public, helping them get on our level of understanding and knowledge of what's going on.
No, so that's a great point, man. Because my mother is now following this. So when I sent, when I got that selfie, right, of Tim Burchett, I'm from Tennessee. He's a Tennessee congressman. He and I had a great conversation, right? Mm-hmm. He gave me his card, told me if I ever need anything, call him up. If my parents need anything, call him up, right? So I sent that picture to my parents and my aunts and uncles down there. And because of that, they watched the hearing. No, they really did. And then and Lily, she called me this morning saying Tim Burchett was on another show talking about, this, that, and the other. So I agree with that. A lot of people, man, a lot of people on X or wherever, I guess they're poo-pooing this event. But I'll tell you, you weren't there. He was in the room. I was outside. The energy was lit, Scott. Would you agree? Like, it was high energy, man.
It was definitely high energy.
Yeah.
Definitely high.
There was a vibe, bro. There was a vibe. We were in two different areas, but there were people having conversations. There were a lot of film crews down there, documentary crews down there going into it. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you on that, man. It's like, of course, people who've been pursuing this for a hot minute, you're like, oh, well, that's nothing new before. But I'll tell you what, man, that's very well said that a lot of people hadn't heard that before, right? Hadn't heard about it. And so, yeah, man. So I think it was well said, Scott, man. Good job, man. So anyways, I didn't have a problem with Tim Gallaudet. I never heard he was deep state before. But I didn't think that he didn't. None of these guys blew the top of the building off with some information, but I thought he did okay. So I thought it was good. So, yeah. Man. All right.
Yeah, man.
Moving on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who do you want to talk about next?
Let's move on to Lou, the lightning rod. Lou, the lightning rod Elizondo, right? So
yeah, Lou. So Lou talked about his experience as the director of ATIP. Talked about UFO crash retrieval programs. During some time, I can't remember if it was during his testimony or during the line of questioning that followed. He talked about confirming medical injuries received by people who got close to these craft.
Right.
And that's something I'm a little bit surprised that they ended up touching on that, because it's the first time probably the general public is aware of that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is radiation related injuries from being near the craft. There was one thing that Representative Luna asked him, which he said he couldn't really answer properly, but I was actually surprised that Luna asked this, is she asked about intelligence, and she asked him about if the craft themselves are living.
Yeah.
Now that's a pretty far out there concept, and that is something that is in lore of UFOs, how the pilots kind of have like a I can't think of the word, almost like a some type of biological,
a symbiosis with them.
With the craft. Implying that the somewhat alive itself.
Yeah.
It has maybe even has some type of consciousness attached to it.
Yeah.
So the fact that she asked him if the craft are possibly living, that also kind of blew my mind, because like, hold up, this stuff is pretty deep down in UFO lore.
Yeah.
And now Congress is talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? To give our listeners a reference on that, I did a podcast on the 1973 Pascagoula incident. And I can't remember those two guys' names that were in there. Scott, do you remember their names by chance? But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Right, I know what you're talking about. Name some of them.
When they were retelling their story, they said that the ship too was alive. You can go look it up, man. You can go look it up. You can go watch my podcast on it. And you can go look up their notes. There were beings in that ship that were communicating with them, and the ship itself, they said, was alive. At the time, I thought, damn, that must be some type of AI, right? An AI. But when she asked him, she was 100% asking if it was alive, not AI, but if it was alive, right? And I was like, man, that is she went deep on that, man. That was a deep cut, man.
She went real deep.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of asking deep and kind of fringe questions, I think it was Representative Boebert she asked everybody this question. She just kind of went down the line. She wanted everyone to answer. She asked everybody if they're familiar with alien hybrid program.
Yeah.
And they all said no. But that's a fringe concept. To think, I never would have expected during this hearing for Congress to bring up an alien hybridization program.
Yeah. And
not something I expected at all.
And they all four lied.
Right.
Look, she's a hottie, don't get me wrong, right? But she's new to this, right? There's no way that Lou Elizondo was in the ATIP retrieval program and didn't know about the alien hybrid program. That was that's been around since Betty and Barney Hill, you know what I'm saying? Or Kelly Cahill down there in Melbourne or whatever. So anyways.
Right.
So Lou took some heat, man, but I've been actually finding myself defending him a little bit, right? And to my listeners know that Lou blocked me on X or muted me, but Scott, as my witness, I was 3 feet away from him, right? In the hallway, right? When he came out, right?
Yeah.
Lou is not a bad guy. No, he's not. He's not a bad guy, man. And I hate the mean girl stigma or the the UFO community, man, we need to put the knives away, man. We can disagree on stuff and not be like, oh, like rah, right? So yeah, and it's a perfect example. Lou muted me on Twitter for saying something, nothing bad, right? It probably wasn't even Lou. It was probably just a person working his account, right? I'm going to tell you what I think of Lou, but before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you what I think of Lou's testimony. That's why I want to split this up. Lou is not a bad dude. He's really not. Scott got a picture with him, right? And
yeah, a little sidebar to that. After the hearing in the evening, I was volunteering at the UAP Disclosure Fund. They had their pretty much coming out event. It was like a reception for congressmen and special guests. So they had me there. I was kind of working at the front desk of their event, checking people in as they came, just making sure they had clearance to enter the event. So anyway, when Lou comes in, and I, talked to us briefly. Very friendly dude.
Yeah.
He came out a few minutes later. I'll give partial credit to the guy who runs the UAP Disclosure Fund. His name is Yuan. Yuan said, "Hey, if you have your copy of, Imminent, Lou's book, I'll have Lou come out and he can sign it for you." And he's like, "If you don't have a copy, I have extra copies. I'll give you a copy." And
either way, you're getting the signature, right?
So I had this thing in my bag. I had this thing sitting in my backpack just in case. But Lou came out. He signed it. He didn't just sign it. He did like an inscription here, and he chatted with us. He's the most down to earth guy that you could imagine. He was super humble. He was saying, he was thanking us for helping make history. I'm just working the front desk. It's your event.
Right.
I was like, I'm only making history like you're making history. But he's like, don't like, he basically said, like, don't underestimate what you're doing. He's like, this event is working because you are working here helping it run. So yeah, he's a very guy. So yeah, anyone who's just really talking negatively about him out there, you can believe some people don't like him. Some people don't believe his stories. You can believe his story or not. I do choose to believe it. You can believe it or not, but you got to separate his story from the human being that he is.
100%.
Yeah. Genuine guy.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody knows. So so that's the thing. I can disagree with Lou Elizondo, but Lily, Scott was standing right beside me. He was 3 feet away, and I'm telling you, he's not a bad dude. And that's the thing that I wish that more people within the UFO community would wrap their mind around, is that you don't have to, the disagreeing doesn't have to lead, doesn't mean you hate somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. So anyway, and this is me. And I'm telling you, Lou's not a bad dude, man. He seemed real cool. Scott got a picture of him. He's shorter than I expected him to be when I stood next to him, right? Did you notice that too, Scott? I thought I don't know why I had a vision of him being so tall, but anyways. So real quick, and I'll tell you what I said, that people are thinking that I hate Lou Elizondo. I don't know him, but I met him. He's a nice guy, but like, I don't hate him at all. So Lou's testimony, I felt that he felt, fairly uncomfortable at the beginning. I think he warmed up as he went, man. This is his first congressional hearing. I think he's been out for 6 years. This is the first time he's been up there. I had told people that Lou had a TSSCI. I had a TSSCI. Lou was in the Army. I was in the Navy. Lou was in Intel. I was in Intel. And I had said that when Lou's book Imminent drops, that when we get a TSSCI clearance, we have to sign a waiver that we won't ever make a movie or write a book without the Pentagon approving it, right? So I said, nothing in that book is going to be anything that the Pentagon hasn't approved. So don't think there's going to be the earth-shattering smoking gun in there. People they lost their mind. They lost their mind. No, Lou's a real one. Lou's a real one. And the other ones took it as like saying, told you he was fake. I didn't say either one of those. I just said that there's nothing in that book that's not going to be approved by the Pentagon. And this is where people got on him, man. But I want to explain this. he did say I can't talk about that a lot. He did say, Scott, you would agree that he was like, we'll have closed door sessions. You have to talk to me about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lou wants to write more books, guaranteed, right? And he has the right to do that. This is my opinion. But he also doesn't want to go to prison. You understand? Right? So I mean, we're in Congress, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So you want to argue that he's with ATIB or whatever or whatnot? Sure, you can dig into that, man. But he's not going to, in that environment, come out and say, "You're right. The body is here." You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the alien. Here's the body. It's not going to happen, man. I will say that. I think that Lou has moved back past his. Can't really call him a whistleblower anymore. But I still think he might have some knowledge to take. And I think maybe if they rolled something back a little bit on it, on that restriction, I wouldn't break that. I mean, like, this is the thing before I turn it over to you, Scott, to give me your opinion about him. You're sitting in front of congressmen. Congressmen are lawmakers. They made the law that said the paper that he signed is a very strict NDA. But Congress made that law. So if you're asking him to tell you that, then go and change that law, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go change the law. And then say, you know what? Then say ask. Then let him talk, right? You're asking me to answer that, right? But you're a congressman and you've created laws in the past saying that I can't talk about this, but you're asking me to talk about it. So, I mean, that's just like, I mean, I'm actually defending him on that. No, don't. I'm not testing that because remember, Hillary wiped out an email server and did no time, but some dude took a picture on a submarine and did like 4 years in jail for taking a picture. Yo, which camp am I in before I start talking, right? So I totally get him on that, man. But anyways, so Scott, what did he drop anything new for you? Did you feel like there was anything in there?
I mean, I think everything that he spoke about is pretty much he's already talked about, whether like on video or in the book. I don't think he dropped anything brand new that I can think of at the moment. But again, it's not new to me. Yeah. But it's new to the general population.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It probably opened up a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that too. And I actually, just to play devil's advocate, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Saying you can't talk about it, to me, makes it true. So and this is what I tried to explain to a few people. They just don't like him for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. This is his first hearing. So, and nothing he's ever done has actually been into the archives. So yeah, we've heard it all before. He's been saying it for 6 years, but now it's on record, right? And now it was like really on like TV, right?
Yeah.
So having him say, I can't talk about that, that's a yes. Because if, in my opinion, if you can't talk about it, then just say no. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, like, right. Yeah. So I don't think that was a waste, Scott. I think that was all right, man. Like, I don't have a problem with it. Yeah. Right. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no complaints about his testimony. Yeah, no. Personally.
So, like I said, for us, it's run of the mill. Like I said, my opinions about Lou are well established, but that's just, and again, I want to state this for people. He's not a bad guy. He's really not. He's not a bad guy whatsoever, right? And so we're just. I actually think this is how normal men disagree. I disagree with that.
Right.
You know, and that's just it, man. It's not like, well, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We just disagree, right? Two military intel guys, and we just disagree. But I would not. If I even said this today. Mm-hmm. I would not, if I was sitting there and the Pentagon told me not to talk about it, I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to prison, right? Like I said, if you want to give me some type of immunity or whatever, I'll talk my mouth off, right? But anyways,
which reminds me, Congress people said, when you said Pentagon tell you not to talk about it, Congress even said during the hearing that they were told by the Pentagon not to ask certain witnesses certain question.
Yes, exactly. Right. And that means it's real. I mean, you don't have to go if you don't have to go any further. Right. I told some guy in the hallway, right. He was, the hallway was a little bit more rowdy because we didn't have to be quiet. Right. Because we were outside.
Right.
And so I was like, yo, bro, he's like, you haven't trusted the government for 40 years. Now you need them to tell you that this is real to believe it, but you thought it was real for 40 years. I'm like, make that make sense, man. So that omission, bro, that omission to me was like, yeah, man, that's a good. Yeah.
If you have nothing to hide, then you don't care what being asked, first of all.
Yeah.
And this also, maybe this is not the conversation to have right now, but this is also a pet peeve of mine when people say that, oh, like, what you said reminded me of this, is that a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, the UFO phenomenon isn't real, like, I don't believe it. And a lot of people say, oh, it's real and the government's lying to us, right? Those are the two sides of the table. People say that the government's lying to us, but in the same breath, they also say, can't trust the government. So when the government does come out and they say, oh, yes, there is aliens, are you still not going to trust them?
Right.
Like, at some point, you have to believe what they're saying. Like, you can't play both sides of that coin.
Yeah, it's never ending, man. So, yeah, so in the hallway, we were talking about that. So anyways, I didn't have a problem with Lou's testimony. He said nothing that surprised me. And I again, like I would say to the newcomer, hearing him say he can't talk about that, that's a win. I think that was a win, right? I think that's a win.
I'd say so. I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, all right. Shellenberger, Michael Shellenberger, break him down, Scott.
Yeah, man. So Schellenberger, he brought up, you know, the Immaculate Constellation program. That's his, you know, that's the reason why he was there, really. Talk about that.
Scott, can you break down Immaculate Constellation for everybody real quick?
The Constellation is a program, by the way, and during the hearing, Nancy Mace was saying, like, her big, like, line that people are quoting, she said that Representative Luna told her not to mention the term Immaculate Constellation or she'll get put on some kind of list. And Nancy Mace said, well, I don't care about any list. Come at me, bro.
Yeah, right.
And line that a lot of people took away. But the fact that you have to worry about being put on a list for saying Immaculate Constellation is crazy.
It's nuts.
But Immaculate Constellation, what it is a program that Schellenberger uncovered by talking to an unnamed witness, whistleblower, that this is basically the parent program of all other UAP programs. This is basically a crash retrieval program, reverse engineering program. They have databases of videos and photos, all collected. It's like a huge database, basically, of all things UAP. And we're talking, Schellenberger mentioned high definition, full color videos. He said they have a 13-minute full color high def video of a white orb coming out of the ocean. It was filmed from the helicopter. 13-minute video of this object. Crystal clear, high def, full color. All right. So we're not talking about these satellite imagery videos that are like, the satellite imagery videos, I feel like a lot of the stuff that we see that does get released to the public, I feel like higher definition versions of those are available. Yeah. The public just get those. We get like these grainier versions of them. But Schellenberger is telling us that there are these high def, very clear videos of these objects.
Bro, I would love to see that video, bro. Scott, man, I would love to see that 13-minute video, man. Wow.
I would love to see that thing as well. I mean, I think, and we've heard this too from, who was it? I think it was actually Lou. He was on a podcast. I don't even know what podcast it was right now, but he was talking about a video. He said that was like in like 4K, like high def, that he knows exists because he's seen it. But so this stuff's out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to believe it until they see it themselves.
Yeah.
But we have people who are very reliable sources telling us that these things exist, these videos exist.
Yeah.
Right? So Immaculate Constellation is basically the overarching program that basically houses all this information, all this intel.
It's basically the umbrella. Cool. All right.
Yep.
Covers it up. Okay. So tell me how'd you feel that Schellenberg did, bro?
I think he did good. I mean, again, he put this program out to the media a couple weeks ago. And now, because of the hearing, he's putting it out there again for people. Actually, there was, who was it? I forgot which congressperson was asking him who his source was.
I remember that.
For that. And he wouldn't give the source up, which is what a journalist should do. They should need to protect their sources. And they're asking him, well, can you tell me at least what department they're from?
Yeah.
And he would not even that. He was like, no, because I don't even want you knowing where my potentially coming from.
And I actually think that congressman was out of line for doing that, because he even admitted, I tried to trick you up. He literally he was pressing really hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, why? Okay. Why? And in my mind, I'm thinking like that, like you got, so everybody, they get 5 minutes, they go over, they surrender their time, right? He spent like almost his entire 5 minutes just pressing, who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that? I'm like, who cares? We're not, I'm not here for who told him. I want to know like
right.
True or not, more information about it, right? Yeah, I thought in the hallway, man, I was like, yo, that dude's out of line, man. That's just my opinion, man. I was like, that dude's out of line like that, man.
He grilled him really hard.
Yeah.
But you know what? He did his job by protecting his witness and
aggressively. Yep.
Good for him.
So yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think his testimony again was fine. I think a lot of people were upset that they had a journalist being a witness as opposed to a whistleblower. Which, I mean, I get what you're saying, but he's providing a ton of information here.
A ton, bro. A ton.
And he was showing reports. He was showing a report and how much information is actually redacted.
Yeah.
Out of reports, and he's making a point like, "Hey, if you have nothing to hide, which you say you don't, why is half this damn document redacted?"
And I saw that too, man. I saw that too, and I'm going to say this as nice as possible. People are stupid, and I'll tell you why. I think Schellenberger nailed it, bro. Lily, man, from his opening statement, holding up that document saying, this is ridiculous. And I agree with him. I was like, dang, look at that thing. It looked like some kid was in a restaurant with a black marker, right, Scott? And just like half the page was gone, right? And I was like, what in the world? And I thought Shellenberger, man, did amazing. He talked about the orbs, the triangles, the UFOs, the metal ones. He's the one that we're talking about. Are they organic? Could they be organic in nature? Or are they symbiotic? He's the one that he also touched on these veterans that got these traumatic brain injuries from dealing with them. The VA must be paying them. So how come that's not coming out? How many of them are there? Man, I thought Shellenberger nailed it, man. I really did. So when I saw people just want to get mad sometimes, man, I was like, what are y'all talking about, right? I thought he was a wealth of knowledge. That was my opinion. And so I defended him too. I was like, yo, man. And again, good on him.
People like to complain.
Yeah.
But what I do think what they should do for the next hearing is I would love to see if they're going to bring journalists into the mix. I would love to see Jeremy Corbell.
So I'll tell you, hold that thought, man. Hold that thought, because I got something for you on that as too. So anyway, before we move on to Michael Gold, Schellenberger did a good job, yeah? What'd you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job.
I thought he
did fine.
I thought he was the best of all four of them. Honestly, I really did, man. I thought Schellenberger, and I thought that. I also thought that they were unfair to him. They didn't press Lou as hard as they pressed this guy, man, for like your sources or whatever. Lou gave an answer, and they're like, okay, because they'd probably been warned, like you said, to back off Lou, right? So they went on Schellenberger hard, man. So, anyways, Schellenberger, I thought he did the best, man. All right, moving on to the next guy. Michael Gold. Scott?
Yeah, Gold. So Mike Gold, former, I don't even know if he's former, NASA, former Bigelow employee.
Yep.
I had mixed emotions about his testimony.
Me too.
I feel like much, honestly, that he really contributed,
Yeah.
other than emphasizing the need for data and to take the topic seriously, which is fine, which is great. You know what I mean? But I don't know how much he brought to the table. He did say something that was a little bit conflicting in my mind.
Yes.
He said that NASA has a ton of data, right? So he said that by looking through NASA's data, it probably really helped the research on UAPs, right? But then he also said that NASA is the most transparent organization that he knows of. So if there's so much potential data in NASA archives, why isn't it released if they're so transparent?
Yeah.
And maybe NASA is transparent by nature. Maybe it's these deep state government programs that are not allowing them to release certain things, which is possible. It may not be NASA themselves.
So
maybe NASA is transparent by nature, but you know.
You're a good man, Scott. You have a kind heart, because I'm about to rip Michael Gold's guts out right here. This dude, it's literally with a straight face, fam, Enigmites, said that NASA was transparent. I almost threw my phone against the wall when he said that. People in the hallway started cussing. These people have been airbrushing photos since 1940, man, or whatever. And so,
I mean, I immediately went on X. I was sitting in the room. As soon as he said that, nope,
no shot, right? So Lily, man, this guy, I thought that I literally called him a NASA used car salesman, man. He chuckled too much. He just gave the vanilla answer, and I literally said, this guy's a waste of time. Give his seat to Jeremy Corbell, because Corbell was literally sitting right behind him. I literally put that out there, saying that he's a waste of time, man. Take his minutes away and have him trade places with Jeremy Corbell, and we'll get some the jellyfish thing, right? Like put UAP, right? Remember that, Scott? Get him up there to talk about that, right? So yeah, man, I thought that freaking where I can agree to disagree with Lou. Michael Gold is I don't know, like, bro, you called freaking Tim Gallaudet deep state. This dude right here is the deep state mouthpiece, because wow, I cannot believe with a straight, and bro, I got a picture of him too, man. He was the first one out of that room, man. He booked out of that room, man. He was gone. He blew past everybody else came out a little bit, talked, waved or whatever. Man, this dude smoked up that hallway, right? Like I literally got a picture on my phone, him like, walking around. I was like, yo, man, where's he going? He was the first one out, man. So I totally agree with you, Scott, man, that, yeah, if they brought Schellenberger on there, which I thought, or Shellenberger on there, I thought he did a great job, then absolutely Corbell should be sitting at the next one, man, and talking to him, right? And, and I would also like to see, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but I would like, who's his buddy, the one of the OG whistleblowers.
Oh, Bob Lazar.
Yeah, Bob Lazar. Bring Bob in there if you would go in there, right? Like, I would like to hear Bob Lazar talk as well, man. That's just a wish list, right? That's just a wish list. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, I thought that Michael Gold was a waste of time, and I actually too, I think too, man, that like the serious people that were asking questions, they picked up on it, because they kind of drifted towards him, right, away from him. I mean, they were like, what do you think about this? Right. He would say, oh, NASA's the greatest, and we got all this data. We're so transparent. So important that we continue this fight, right? And then smiled or whatever. So yeah. Right. So how would you rate him?
Yeah, I put him low on the list.
Low on the list?
They could have found someone better.
Yeah.
They could have easily found someone.
That's Scott. That's Scott being a really nice guy, because I trashed this donkey, man. I was like, no way, man. Like, so as a matter of fact, man, like, so when Scott and I were in the hallway, the only one I didn't get a hold of was Schellenberger, right? I couldn't get him in the crowd. I actually think he came out and broke right, where most of them came out and went left, right? Remember where we were standing? I would have liked to met Mike. But gold, I had no interest in it. But then, like we did corner. Remember, we cornered Corbell. I did, anyways. You were helping me with when he came out. We cornered Corbell when he came out, right? And so, and again, I thought he would be taller as well, but like he was like. So I got a picture with him. I posted it up.
All right.
So yeah, but overall, Scott, man, let's get you some closing comments here, man.
I mean, like I said, I think it was good.
Yeah.
I think it might not have been new information to UFO enthusiasts, but it's new information to the general public, and that's what needs to happen. That's how the needle gets moved forward. Once the general public's aware of this stuff, then they can put more pressure on Congress, and that's how we're going to get to, more of a disclosure scenario than we have right now.
Yeah, I agree with. So Scott, I want to also, because you're definitely, like I said, you are my subject matter expert here on this, because you're so dialed in. Specific question right here that I think you're probably one of the best people that can actually answer this. Did this stave off the cataclysmic disclosure, or did it speed up? What do you call it, Scott? When they call it not cataclysmic?
Catastrophic
disclosure. Do you think this staved that off or sped it up?
Man, I don't know. I think it definitely staved it off a little bit.
Yeah.
If this hearing didn't happen, because prior to the hearing, Nancy Mace was pressured by the Pentagon to not even hold the hearing.
Yeah.
He was told not to hold the hearing. And she was just very much like, screw you. Like,
I'm a congressman.
You can't tell me what to hold this hearing.
Yeah.
Or you like, ah. And I think if the hearing did not happen, we would be having catastrophic disclosure very soon.
Yeah.
Because these whistleblowers and people who are in these programs who are tired of the secrecy.
Yeah.
Right. And they're scared to come out, because if they come out, there's going to be retaliation, up to and including death, potentially.
100%. You're so spot on that, right? We're dealing with a thing too. I got another tough question for you, but I want to add on to that too. Let's go two directions with this real quick. One, it's UFOs, extraterrestrials, knee deep, right?
Right.
You go the other way and say, okay, what if this is $1 billion skunk works, right? They've got I think the one will kill you quicker will be the $1 billion skunk work industry will put you out before they let you put something out there on the street, right? So there's a real danger, like you said. I felt so, right? Like there's a real danger to this, right? So
100%.
Yeah, and so next question, all right?
Yeah.
With the catastrophic disclosure coming, normal disclosure, catastrophic disclosure. I want to get your opinion on this, Scott. Do you feel that, okay, that enough things are put into motion that it's not going to be a yes or no? It's going to be a win, like one way or the other. This train is either going 50 miles an hour or 1,000 miles an hour. Do you think that enough people have gotten behind this or have gotten interested in this that no matter what, that you just can't, it's not going to go away where it is, okay, just ignore it long enough and people will stop asking about it? What do you give me your opinion on that, buddy?
As far as disclosure goes, there's no stopping it.
Right.
Once the bullet's fired, you can't hold it back.
Yeah.
It's going. And I think the bullet's already been fired and it's going. And there's no stopping it at this point. At the UAP Disclosure Fund event, Senator Rounds went to the event, and Senator Rounds gave a speech. He was talking about disclosure as a marathon.
Yeah.
That's not an event. It's a marathon. And, we're running that marathon right now.
Yeah.
And I think some people maybe don't have the stamina to keep running the marathon. I think some people are tired. They just want disclosure now.
Yeah.
Right? They just want the president of the United States to come out and say, this is what's going on. And there might be a point where that happens, but I think what's going to happen before that is the continual dripping of information, where it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, now the next step is just, here's the formal admittance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's any stopping it. As far as how long it's going to take, I don't know. But I'm almost 100% positive that we will have maybe not full disclosure, because there's always going to be some type of national security issue. But I think we're going to be as close to full disclosure as we can get. Within the next 5 years, it's going to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a great analogy, man. Like if you got a leaky faucet and you put a cup under it, eventually that cup's going to fill up and overflow, right? Like it's just only a matter of time. And until I went there, that's going to lead into my next question, man. Until I went to that event, I could not really appreciate the energy that is behind this. And so, like, yeah, man, like I've never, like when I was talking to these congressmen when they came out, like my longest conversation was with Tim Burchett, but the rest of them, right, like there was a little bit, he's all in, right? So Tim Burchett's all in there, right? But like the rest of them, right, like when they came out, like this is not a passing curiosity for these people, man. Like they like legitimately like want to know. So Scott.
Oh,
yeah.
Because taxpayers' money.
Yeah, for sure, right?
We're Black Ops programs, and they're lying to us about it. They're taking our money, saying nothing to see here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and what was it, Nancy Mace, who mentioned that Pentagon hasn't passed an audit
ever, by the way, ever. Enigma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and they've lost.
So where do you think that money is? Because their books aren't straight.
Yeah.
There's all this for money that's going into these black budget programs to study UAP.
Yeah.
That's where it's going.
That's where it's going for sure. So I agree with you on that, Scott. So in closing, man, real quick, because you were there, I was there. Scott got into the room. He was the last one in. It was amazing. I was out in the hallway catching people back and forth. We could hear what was going on there, and we had it on our phones seeing. Scott, man, I know this was like when you came out, bro. Man, you looked euphoric, bro. Like you looked, man, like you just had this, like you had this look, man, on you. I can't explain it, man. Like you just had this look on your face, bro. I want you to tell everybody, man, like you told me, man, if you want to share this, man, tell everybody what this meant to you, man. I mean, like, do you remember what you said to me when you came out?
I don't remember my exact words, but
yeah, I do.
Basically, do you remember it?
I do.
What?
You came out, man, like, I don't want to, you okay if I tell everybody? I don't want to put you on the spot, man. Man, you look like somebody just handed you your first child, bro. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like you came out of that, when you came out of that room, I mean, I was by the elevator, right? Like right by the door, man. You came out of that room, you came to me, man. You had this look on your face, bro. Like you were just in like awe, like I cannot, like literally like somebody just handed you a newborn baby, and you said to me, man, I've been chasing this for so long. And the fact that I was in that room and the door was closed and I was in the heat of it, in the mix of it, something like that, man. He said, like, I was right there while it was happening, man. And bro, you were just like, I was like, I didn't know where to buy you a drink or give you a hug, dog, man. You were like, yeah, you were like, man, you were glowing, brother. I was so happy for you, bro.
Dude,
yeah.
I was on a natural high, man, from that thing. You know how I am about the subject. Yeah. And like I said in the beginning of this episode, right here, in the beginning of this video, I said there's a difference. I learned the difference between passive activism and active activism.
Yeah.
Being there and being a part of history as opposed to passively being a part of history are two different things, man.
Yeah.
And I don't think I realized how drastic that difference is until I walked out of that courtroom or that hearing room and realized, like, oh shit, like this experience has been bananas. Like
hey, bro, it doesn't get any realer than you had it, man. Like for real. Like I was so happy for you, bro. When you came out of the room, I was like, dang, man, my boy is looking like you were so happy, bro. Like you just had that look on your face. So if y'all don't know this too, I'm going to break this down for you a little bit. Scott's a modest cat. Scott got up and traveled by train, probably 4:00 in the morning when he was on there. First of all, It was freezing in the morning.
Dude.
It was so cold, right?
I did not dress.
Yeah.
Dude.
He sent me a text message. He's like, and I was like, I was in the truck, right? He sent me a text message like, yo, man, it is freezing cold out here. Until I got out and I was like, damn, you ain't lying. Like I texted me, I said, like, yo, man, like, yo, it is straight up freezing out here, right? Traveled down there by train. Scott got in line. I mean, I'm gonna show you, man, that Scott, my boy here is down for the cause, man. Got in line, waited, got in. Afterwards, Scott, you went to a kind of a vigil. Would you call it a vigil, right? Like on the park or whatever, like a.
No, so it was a rally. So after the hearing, the New Paradigm Institute, which is the face of the New Paradigm Institute is Daniel Sheehan. That group, they were having a rally outside of just down the street from the Congress building. So I actually posted the full rally video. I streamed it live, and I posted it up. So it's there on my page if anyone's curious to watch that.
It's really good.
One interesting thing about that they talked about in there, the one thing that kind of caught my attention was, and I don't remember who was talking. They had a few different speakers there. Like they had, Daniel Sheehan spoke. Robert Salas spoke, who is the guy who was the nuclear missile shutdown witness. He spoke. Trying to remember who else spoke. A couple people spoke, but somebody mentioned that not only have non-human like biologics been recovered from craft, but like pretty much like androids, like androids have been recovered from craft. And I don't know what the source material is for that. I don't know. But that kind of like was a shocker to me. I mean, I expected, obviously, these beings are so advanced. We have Tesla robots now. If these beings are so advanced, they must have some type of like androids. But I don't know why it kind of hit me like a punch. Like there's been androids recovered from these craft. That one was a little bit unexpected to hear that. So so that rally was cool. And then after that, I did the UAP DF event, and that was also
don't brush that off like that. Don't brush that off like that was just like you went up there and handed a flyer. Scott worked the door at a high level meet and greet with senators and congressmen, whistleblowers. Like this was a big deal. So Scott was working the door to get there. So come on, Scott.
And James Fox was there. Graves was there. Jeremy Corbell was there. I went when he came to the room. I like shook his hand. And it's like, oh, hey, Jeremy, how are you? And he remembered me from when I met him earlier at the courthouse. He's like, I talked to you earlier. I was like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people there. And Senator Rounds was there. He gave a speech. Tim Gallaudet was there. He spoke. Lou Elizondo was there. He spoke. Tim Burchett came by briefly. I wanted to talk to him, but I didn't get a chance. I was like talking to somebody else when he walked in. And by the time I was done talking to them, he was out of the room already. So he didn't stay too long. But there were, a lot of big, powerful people was there. I don't know if I said James Fox. James Fox was there. So yeah, man, it was definitely a cool experience.
Yeah. So Scott, man, you were in the trenches, man. So Enigmites, I tell you what, this is my go-to guy for UAP, UFO disclosure. I follow him on Instagram. I follow him on Facebook. All of his information will be in the description there. If you want to be lazy, go to my Instagram and click on following, and you'll see him right there in my little list. Just boom, hit that on there. Go to this guy, give this guy a follow on there. This is the real deal right here, guys. I don't hang out. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I do hang out with some bums, but this ain't one of them, right? This guy right here is not one of them. Scott is a up and comer. He is not even. I can't even call you an up and comer anymore, man. You are a comer. You're in there, right? So you're in the mix.
More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's been a crazy ride, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm so geeked for you, man. Matter of fact, I texted Scott the next day. I was like, man, dang, kind of sucks going back to a regular job.
Dude, it's so hard to go. The whole next on that natural high from the hearing.
Yeah.
That was like, dude, what am I doing? I need to go back to another UFO event.
Get back
feel
to
that peace.
For sure.
Yeah, man.
So Scott, tell everybody again, man, one more time where they can find you and all your locations.
Yeah, on Instagram, Mysterious Planet on Facebook. I do have an X account. I think it's Mist_Planet. I can find it for you. You can.
I've already got you, brother. I'll throw it all in the comments, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where you can look for me. Maybe coming soon to YouTube. So we'll see how that ends up panning out. But
I'm pressing him, fam. I'm pressing him. He's got what it takes, man. I'm pressing him. He's a busy guy. When he's not, making friends with, Corbell and Elizondo and congressmen and senators and, tip of the spear stuff in his off time, I'm trying to get him to, he wants to do it, pushing him in that direction. So he's got it. So anyway, Scott, man, pleasure to have you on here, bro, man. Again, man, I had so much fun. Thank you for inviting me. And man, if it ever hits the calendar again, dog, it's on, right? Except I'm going to find a train to take and get there a little bit easier than that driving through it. But yeah. So yeah, for sure.
The hearing, we're going again, dude.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, if we can ever get any like UFO conference as well, we should check one of those out as too, man. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, Enigmites, that's all you nerds get for $1. Do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. If you got any questions for Scott, you can leave it on the comments over here. But if you want to get to him quicker, go to his Instagram page. Oh, he's on Threads as well. If you're on Threads, you can find him on Threads. Go to his Instagram page. You can hit him up there as well on it. Or just, he's in the Discord. So if you got a question you want to ask him in the Discord or whatever, any UFO, UAP stuff, hit this Scott over here. Scott, you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Joseph, thanks for having me on again, dude.
Oh, man, no doubt,
it.
man. Man, bro, I'm hawking you now, man. Like I'm name dropping you. Scott, Scott, that's my boy. Scott, that's my boy. That's my boy. Scott, yeah, Congress, yeah, Scott, Senator, yeah, he knows that guy. I got you. Well, all right, nerds. Till next time, we're out.
Yep.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.